Welcome back to another edition of the Night Report podcast. I'm Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is Richie Schneiderite. Richie, we're going to talk what we saw in the Wagner game, talk a little recruiting updates because we had a pretty good contingent of recruits coming to the game on Saturday. But first, this podcast is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. You can find reviews for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today. Make your first bet. You can use our promo code BELIEVE50, BLEAV50 to receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts.
And we're also sponsored by Adam Goldman. He's the franchise coach. Basically, if you're just trying to change up your career and your lifestyle a little bit, and you kind of want to run your own business, Adam's the guy for you. He's a Jersey-born guy, Watchung Hills native, Watchung Hills alum, Night Report member, Scarlet Night fan, and he's been doing this stuff for over a decade now. So I mean, if you want to reach out to him, it's a free consultation process. You could change your entire career overnight and kind of find your own American dream. So it's franchisecoach.net or 844-800-3726.
Awesome. So obviously played an FCS opponent last week who had lost 21 straight games, and we made it 22 straight games. Wagner was not a good team. So there's a lot of things you kind of take with a grain of salt from this one. But what did you see that you liked from the team on Saturday?
Evan Simon looked really good. He looked like we said it off the pod or off the air. He looked better than Wimsatt, like night and day almost. There was a big gap there. Al-Shadi Salam continues to be that home run hit for the running back room. Samuel Brown got a ton of touches, which was cool to see. You saw a little bit of a youth movement because these guys, I think the backups almost played more snaps than the starters in this game, which was kind of expected. I would say probably the biggest surprise, though, of the day, I didn't see Rashad Rochelle coming in as a running back and, running 11, 12 times or something.
That was surprising, yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought he looked slight, at least when you're watching on TV, and I don't know what he was, what he weighed in at in camp or what he's listed at, but he can't be more than 170 pounds.
I think he's a little more than that. I think he's 180 now. He showed up in January at like 155. So, I mean, that's a significant weight gain in, 6 months? I don't know, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, whatever it is now. So, I mean, yeah, it's intriguing to see him back there. And I know Fonseca asked him at the presser about it, and he kind of just shied away from it. He didn't really answer it specifically, saying he's going to be a full-time running back or not. But the kid's so shifty, it makes sense just to get him on the field and get the ball in his hands and kind of go from there. But overall, I mean, Rutgers kind of just dominated this game. I'm not too shocked. Was there a couple mishaps? Yeah, the interception was bad. Yeah, the touchdown that they gave up was pretty bad too. But, I mean, other than that, I mean, you kind of cruised to victory. And the weirdest thing is, if you saw like 3 of those 4 touchdown passes, I think, or I should say all 3 of those touchdown passes, all 3 of them almost went in like the same exact area.
Yeah, that
like it was all
right
30,
middle
40-yard bomb right there, and it's like, what the hell? What's going on? But yeah, they definitely exposed the Wagner defense pretty bad. But again, 22 games in a row lost, so you kind of expected this.
Yeah, I think it was nice that Gavin was able to get a lot of game reps because I think he got like 2/3 of the QB snaps and Simon got the other third, because clearly, I mean, he's a young guy. He's 18 years old. He should be in his first semester of college, and due to some quirks, he's in his second year. I think he just needs time to develop. He's clearly got the best tools of the QB room in terms of combination of arm strength and mobility, but that's not always, that doesn't always equate to the best quarterback. I think Evan Simon clearly is that guy right now. Who knows how long Noah's going to be out. I think it becomes interesting, assuming we take care of business here this week, how we approach the Iowa game in terms of the QB snap distribution.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because I want to say Vedril's probably not going to be back for Iowa, but I still think Simon's going to have to get a majority of the reps. I mean, we saw Wimsatt make the same mistake again that he did at Boston College. Like, he had time to throw, and he throws it in double coverage, and it's a stupid interception. Luckily, Rutgers got the ball back on the very next play, I think it was. But
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah,
And Greg kind of highlighted that too. Like Greg made a point in his opening day press, or not his opening. I believe the Boston College post game presser. He said these guys can make mistakes. It's fine as long as we don't make those same mistakes moving forward. And then I believe in the Wagner post game, he said something along the lines of, that interception was very similar to the one he made versus Boston College, which is kind of alluding to, you can't be happy with him making the same mistakes in 2 straight games. So, and that's going to happen when you're young, but you really need to focus on kind of not doing the same mistakes over and over.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad one. The other mistake I saw too, I know Max Mellon had that really nice interception in the second half, but the first half he got exposed on a little I guess broken play kind of type thing, but his legs were all twisted up and he gave up a touchdown, the only touchdown of the game. And Shiano kind of hinted at it too on Monday when we talked to him. He said Max should be playing at a different level. He had a good game, but he should be playing at another level. He's that good. We haven't seen it from him yet. It's going to be interesting to see how he how he handles the Temple game, and then hopefully bounces back from this, and then goes into Iowa, who has a pretty bad offense already, so he should have a good game there as well. But he should be playing at a different level. He's NFL good. It's just a matter of putting it out on the field.
Yeah, I do think one thing to really point out is I'm really impressed with how good the running game is this year, and that's a combination of, I think, Al-Shadi Salam is better than I anticipated, and the offensive line is really getting the job done, especially in the running game. We averaged on the season last year 3.6 yards per carry, and obviously that includes the meat part of the schedule. But this year, we're already at 5.6 yards a carry. And then on the opposite end, our run defense is, I think, the best in terms of yards per carry in the NCAA right now. We're only allowing, maybe it's either the best or the second best. We're only allowing 0.8 yards per carry on the ground. And BC had a 1,000-yard rusher last year, and Wagner is kind of something you don't really pay attention to, but it's going to be tough for teams to run on us this year, it looks like.
Yeah, Greg said it in preseason. He's got 10 defensive linemen that he's going to rotate in and out. Ifeanyi Maije had, I think, the highest grade of the defensive linemen this week, and he's not even a starter. Hanatu and Keontae Hamilton are handling that. Nate Congo looks good at times. Troy Rainey looked good at times. Jordan Thompson, Kenny Fletcher is playing a lot of reps this year. And I didn't even name the 2 starting edge guys, and Lewis and Bailey. The whole D line has been very, very good. Now it's going to be up to them to keep it up in Big Ten play, because that's where it's going to get a little tough.
Yep. I do think one interesting thing, looking at the participation numbers, we're not really rotating in many offensive linemen. I think we're basically playing 6 guys right now, with Shafani coming off as the first guy to rotate in the interior. And obviously, early in the season, that's fine. But once you get into the meat of the schedule and injuries start to happen, guys get nicked up, it's concerning that they're not even throwing in some of these guys early on in the Wagner game. Just something to monitor.
So I know. It was interesting because I saw that too, and I asked Greg about it on Monday, and he basically said, he's like, I don't have 5 starters, I have 6. Shafani's basically a starter. So we kind of got that one down. They're rotating guards in. He said he does want to rotate tackles more. Obviously, I think Pierce is the best tackle of the group. I think Willie Tyler's the clear number 2 tackle. And then Kamar Missouri might be OT3, which is interesting because he struggled at times versus Boston College. He looked better, obviously, versus Wagner, but it's Wagner at the end of the day. And then Gus Zelinskis is going to be your backup center. But Iron Brown's played pretty well overall, so there's really no reason to sub him in and out. Yep. So I think that the odd man out that has to step up would be Missouri. Missouri has to figure it out when it comes to playing against big-time competition. Now, maybe this past week against Wagner gives him a little confidence boost, and then he goes into Temple, and it's another confidence boost most likely because their D-line's not that good either. But then it's going to be up to them against Iowa, and it's a very tough Iowa front 7. So then that's where things get interesting.
For sure. Another area of the team that I think is playing well enough, but is scary depth-wise, is linebacker. I mean, we kind of beat that to death, but Powell looks really good. Jennings looks good for the most part, outside of some coverage snafus that he's made. But we lose either of those guys, and the middle of the field for us is going to be a total nightmare.
Yeah, that's where it's going to get a little interesting. I know Andrew Vince played a little DB in high school. I think he's listed as an OR with Jameer Wright Collins on the depth chart, but maybe you throw him back there. Daryl Giacomi, I can't.
So somebody corrected us in one of the podcasts. We mentioned him. It's Jambone.
John Bone. Okay.
Or it's like Jawbone.
It's a lot easier than I thought.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to have to play some reps. He's already played in 2 games, so that's interesting. Is Jameer Wright Collins able to cover as a linebacker? I still think that's a big question mark. You have Izzian basically playing linebacker, but then he's too small to cover some guys like at times. So it's really tough. You got to keep these guys healthy though. That's the big concern right now. If these two aren't healthy throughout the whole season, then you're in for some trouble. But as of right now, they're playing pretty well, and like you said, minus a couple snafus with Jennings in coverage, he's been pretty solid. He's been a lot better than I thought he would be. Now this is where you wish you had Drew Singleton, though.
For sure, him being that third, or he'd probably start, but having like 3 experienced guys leading the group would be awesome. Obviously, if we did lose Moses Walker, he'd be getting a ton of playing time as well.
Yep.
So this is a position that probably will be a lot better next year than it is this year, based on both experience and guys getting older and healthier. But I think one of the shining positions so far is the defensive backfield. Like, so many of those guys are really stepping up. Robert Longerbeam right now is ranked as PFF's 6th overall cornerback out of like 680 qualifying corners. He's the highest graded guy in the team with an 87.0. Christian Braswell in limited actions got a really high PFF grade and shown some really nice things. I think they're probably holding him back a bit early on in the season as he recovers from that knee injury. Max Melton's had struggles, but he's still a really high-level corner. And then the safety play, I feel like, has been pretty high quality between Izzy and Avery Young and Des Igbenuson. Yeah,
I mean, you kind of just hit the nail on the head. That DB room we knew from the start was going to be pretty good, and they're living up to that reputation so far. Kassan Abrams had his struggles, but last year he had a hell of a year, and I think he'll be able to pick it back up. Interestingly enough, Shiano mentioned Carnell Davis at cornerback on Monday as a guy that's kind of stepping up a little bit. So that's going to be something to monitor. And then who else is back there? Elijah Warren Max playing a lot of snaps so far this season, which I didn't see coming. But he's obviously stepping up and filling in as a backup reserve guy. But overall, this DB unit's deep. It's good. And I think teams are going to have struggles. Like, even in the Big Ten play, they're going to have struggles passing on Rutgers. Maybe not when it comes to the linebacker coverage, but in terms of DB coverage, they should have a. It's going to be hard for them. I'll put it like that.
Yes, it'll be it's a formidable group now, and it's pretty deep. And Shiano's always specialized in developing defensive backs, so that hasn't changed. I'm also really impressed with Harris Simiak through 2 games. I know it's not really like it's tough to grade what we did against Wagner, but I really liked what he was doing against Boston College, putting a ton of pressure on guys. And even though we didn't get the same sack numbers versus Wagner as we did against Boston College, I think we only had 2 sacks in the day. The guy was Cargman, was constantly under pressure. He was probably making a lot of early throws because he knew that he had like a second to throw the ball. So I do think that Harris Simiak's done a pretty good job of confusing quarterbacks and generating pressure early on in the season.
Yeah, and going back to game 1, I mean, heck of halftime adjustments, and that's what he's most well known for, apparently, is his adjustments at halftime or throughout the game in general. He completely different team from the first half of BC versus the second half of BC. They played lights out that second half, and he's turning into a very good coach.
Yeah. And also, a guy we didn't mention, but I think has played well in his limited minutes, are Shaquan Loyal. He's another corner who is a highly rated recruit. I think out of Newark West Side, right?
Yes, West Side.
Was he Al-Shadi Salam's teammate in high school?
No, Al-Shadi Salam was West Orange. He's West Side. Okay. So he was... Got it. I don't know if you remember Darius Gooden. He was Darius Gooden's teammate in high school.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep, that rings a bell.
I think he's at Maine now or something like that.
Got it.
I forget, but...
Anyway. One other thing I noticed on the cornerback grading area of PFF, it's showing Thomas Samanko got a couple snaps in at corner. Is he a defensive back again? I thought he was on offense.
No, so when he signed his letter of intent, it said, I believe it said wide receiver. Mm-hmm. He was coming in as a wide receiver, and I think he switched defense within like a week. So, I mean, he went pretty quickly, and he played all spring as a defensive back, and he played defensive back, obviously, against Wagner, all training camp. So, yeah, he's back there again. And I think that he has the higher potential on that side of the ball anyway, so that's actually probably the better move of the two. Oops.
Got it. Yeah, he only played 2 snaps from what this is saying.
Yeah.
But, so we're going to have the Temple rival guys on this week for a pod, so we're not going to go too deep into Temple this pod. We're going to talk about them a lot next week. But high-level stuff about Temple. ESPN's FPI, it's the Football Power Index. They're ranked, I believe, 124th out of 131 FBS teams, so they're not really a great team from what it looks like. They just replaced their quarterback last week with a true freshman who's Kurt Warner's son. And we're, depending on what book you're looking at, between 15 and 18-point favorites in this one.
It's up to 18.
I mean, I've just seen it as like 17.5, so I don't know the exact number. I don't want to.
I know it opened at 16, so now I'm kind of like curious.
Yeah, I'll check on my sportsbook app, but
it wouldn't shock me if it was up to 18.
Yeah, what are you hoping to see this weekend out of Rutgers playing at the Link versus Temple?
I don't want to say I want to see something similar to Wagner because I don't think they're as bad as Wagner, but I expect Rutgers to kind of dominate this game early and often, get a comfortable lead, get your key guys out of the game at halftime. Like if you're up 14-21, I don't even probably want to get up like 3 scores at least, so 17 plus I would say. You probably want to get that lead at halftime and then kind of sit back and just relax, run the ball, run the clock. I expect Rutgers to win this game pretty handedly. I don't think this Temple team's good at all. It's tough for Stan Drayton, too, because he's got a weird roster. He brought in a bunch of JUCO guys, but it is hard for all these guys to mesh right away. Your first-year head coach, you just benched your former 4-star quarterback or whatever Dwan Mathis was. I think he was borderline 4-star, if not 4-star. For Kurt Warner's son, who was really underranked, I guess. So I mean, you should win this game pretty easily. I'm not saying go out there and throw up 40 in the first half because I don't think that's realistic. I think the over-under is like 40 in general. But score like 17-21 in the first half, and you should be able to hold this Temple offense pretty easily. But get those linebackers out of there. I hate saying it every week, but like bubble wrap them, because it's too risky to even have these guys out there on special teams. But Greg loves his starters on special teams, so that's the other issue.
Yeah, I totally would agree with that. I might have been a little premature calling this a potential trap game when I looked into it the first time. I know some people are kind of like shitting on me on the boards for it. But E.J. Warner did grade out really well in his 46 snaps last week against Lafayette. He had a grade of 88 on PFF, which is like extremely high. He made a lot of tough throws while getting hit. Like he just stood in there with some good poise and just took brutal shots against Lafayette, which might say a lot about Temple's offensive line situation. We should win this game handily. It should be a great environment on the road for Rutgers fans because it's probably the easiest road trip to an FBS opponent that Rutgers fans could make. So I hope we see a huge contingent of Rutgers fans there. I'll be at the game. Richie will be at the game.
Chris will be there.
I think Chris will be there. I think Greg said that they're expecting between 14 and 20 bus loads of kids, and a bus has roughly around 50 kids, so that's like 1,000 students are going to be at the game, which will be huge. So it'll just be a good time. The weather's supposed to be nice.
Tickets are still $35. Like, I mean, if you haven't got one yet, it's a nice stadium. Like, it's really not that hard to get to. It's right off the turnpike. Yep. It's $35 to go watch like Rutgers play this year versus a Temple team that you're probably going to crush. It's going to be an enjoyable time. And then we mentioned it off the air. They're also running some kind of pregame party at the Xfinity Live Center.
Yeah, if you don't have a tailgate you're already planning to do, they have an event going on for Rutgers fans inside Xfinity Live. And if you've never been to Philly for sports, all of their arenas are in the same area. Like basically, it's like giant like square. They have the football stadium, they have the Wells Fargo Center, and they have the baseball stadium. And in between those, there's this place called Xfinity Live, which is like this collection of bars and restaurants that's all inside, and they have like a kind of a pavilion area outside as well. So everything will be there. It's a really nice actual building. Growing up from around here, so definitely worth checking out if you don't have a tailgate planned. And then if we want to get ahead of ourselves here, assuming we take care of business, we were talking about this off the air, Iowa got announced as a 7 p.m. kickoff, which is the first time Rutgers will have a night game against a Big Ten opponent at home since 2017 with fans involved. That was the Ohio State game that Chiano came back for and was kind of giving like wide-eyed, like, holy shit, how did this place get so bad so quick kind of comments. But just talk about what you expect environment-wise for that game, because I feel like that's going to be, and this sounds hyperbolic, but I really don't think it is. I think it's going to be like Thursday night Louisville, Thursday night USF type environment there.
Take care of business this weekend, and I don't see a reason why it shouldn't be. This is Greg's first game back as head coach with fans in the stands for a night game. So on top of that, it's the first one since 2017, and it's not something about the night atmosphere in New Brunswick or Piscataway. It's just a little different. Fans get a little more amped up. Students get a little more involved because they're drinking all day. But but it's just going to be a really good atmosphere. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a near sellout there. I know I probably underhyped it last week, but after seeing them take care of business against Wagner again, it just kind of reiterates the fact that this team is going to be 3-0. I mean, we can look ahead. The team can't look ahead, but we can look ahead, and it's. I'm very confident they're going to be 3-0 off of another big win versus Temple, and then the fan support. I hate to say it, but there's a lot of bandwagon fans in this area. They're just going to come out in droves, and now it's going to be interesting because now you get the night game atmosphere, tailgating all day. It's just going to be a really good night, or a really good whole entire day event at Rutgers at SHI Stadium. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of recruits on campus. Obviously, no one's confirmed anything yet, but there's going to be a bunch of big names for sure.
Oh yeah, I think it wouldn't shock me to see like a lot of recruits that were like, he's coming, holy crap, like guys from like high level like recruits from like the Maryland area, the Central PA, the like upstate New York, like guys that weren't really giving Rutgers a look, but now that they like people and recruits are the same way as fans. They want to hop on the team that's winning. That's why you're seeing a lot more national recruits showing interest in the basketball program right now. We'll kind of get to that in a bit. But at the same time, so many Rutgers fans have been disillusioned by just losing by 50 for every home game they go to that, like, I get it. Like, it sucks to, like, carve out 7 Saturdays a year just to watch a terrible product, paying all this money, wasting all this time to support your favorite team or your alma mater. But finally, Greg has Rutgers in a place where, like, you go into the stadium expecting to win. And I think we can expect that for Iowa, especially given how bad they look. Like, Spencer Petras ranks as currently the 6th worst quarterback in the FBS according to PFF out of 257 qualifying quarterbacks. He's been putrid. That offense has been awful. I don't know if you saw this. The Iowa offensive coordinator is Brian Ferentz, so Kirk Ferentz's son. Yeah. And everybody's calling for his head. They're basically saying it's like the worst offense they've ever seen. And they've been, you're laughing, I think you might know what I'm talking about. Some Iowa fans have hired cameos to say, like, hey, Brian, I hear you're having a rough time at work. You don't always have to stay with the family business. And this is Bob Stoops saying this. You don't have to stay with the family business. It's okay. We'll still support you, but hope you do better at work. And then Fran McCaffrey, the Iowa basketball coach, did a cameo saying, sorry, Brian, I hear you're having a rough time at work. It is one of the best troll jobs I've seen all year. If you haven't seen it, we'll post it on the boards. It's really funny.
I don't know if you saw it. I think they got Kirk to do it too. Unless he just kind of like bought into like the whole thing. I don't know, because it looked like he was at a press conference when it happened, so I'm a little curious if it was more like it just kind of happened, or he kind of made a joke about it, like, hey, Brian, you're having a rough time. Or it could have just been the audio over his like press conference video too. But it did say, I saw something before that said, "Hey, we got Kirk," and I listened to the video. Obviously, it's the same thing. But yeah, it's funny.
So Yeah, it's going to be a great atmosphere, but I do kind of want to pivot to recruiting. We obviously had a pretty good turnout recruit-wise at the game on Saturday.
Yes.
Talk a little bit about what you heard from recruits coming out of the Wagner game.
So interestingly enough, they had a really top-name 2024 quarterback on campus, and AJ Serace, Bob Serace, Princeton head coach's son. I have a feeling he's probably QB1 on their board right now, and he's been to campus quite a few times already. And I don't want to say I'm going to put in a future cast yet, but like I'm getting close to it because he's very, very high on Rutgers. Now, he hasn't really visited anywhere else yet. I think he went to Michigan State once, and that's probably about it. He might have went to Pitt, too. I could be wrong on that. But he's so close with Sean Gleason from his time when his dad was working or had Gleason working for him. He's been to like Princeton practices where Gleason was coach, and it's just they just really connected and bonded quite a bit. Other than that, I mean, there's a couple other big names too. Kenny Jones is another one who I'm close to future casting, and Del Ray, an offensive tackle. I think he's 6'6", 6'5", 305. It's good for Rutgers to get back down in South Jersey again, so that would be a really good early get. I think he's probably number 12 to 15 in state currently. I'm not exactly sure where off the top of my head. But he has potential. He has potential to be like a Jasir Peterson type guy. Other than those two, Kenny Woosley came over from Imhotep Charter, which is a little interesting to me because I obviously have connections to Rutgers and Penn State, and he told Penn State he was going to go there as well, and then he ended up choosing Rutgers. So that's a pretty big visit for the staff to get there. He did mention that Rutgers is always going to be in top consideration for him. I don't know if that's more of like one of those like they're quote local, they'll always be my top guys or in my top schools, but it is good to get him back on campus again. And then arguably one of the top kids in 2025. I know it's crazy because Jalen Matthews is probably the top kid from Jersey, but maybe number 2 or number 3, Michael Thomas from Donovan Catholic. He earned his Rutgers offer this weekend. He's pretty excited about the visit. He's already got Penn State, West Virginia, Boston College, Michigan. They're all after him. He's going to have a ton of offers when it's all said and done, but very good to get him back on campus too. So I mean, overall, pretty good visit list. A lot of big names on campus, and then like I said, I mean this one wasn't even anything compared to the one that they're probably going to get for Iowa. I could see like all the big North schools coming down, bringing guys, and then this weekend technically Rutgers won't be there per se, but Rutgers is hosting a ton of big high school games this weekend as well.
Yeah. Yep.
So
that's the Battle of the Bridge, I think they call it.
Yeah, that one. I think it's weird because New York, Erasmus Hall is playing a Maryland school. The Virginia school's coming up. Immaculata's playing Holy Trinity. So Dylan Braithwaite will be there. Josiah Brown. The E-Hall kids. The E-Hall, I don't even know, trio, quadruple group of people that all have Rutgers offers in 2024. Trying to think who else. St. Joe's is playing St. Anthony's, so that means Corey Duff will be there.
Okay, I got the full schedule if you want me to read it out to you.
Yeah, go for it.
So this is an all-weekend event, so there's going to be games Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So on Friday, starting at 5 p.m., you have Holy Trinity, which are the Fighting Lennies, versus Immaculata of New Jersey.
Fighting Lennies. Oh, my God. He's going to love that.
Yeah, and then at 8 p.m., you have E-Hall playing Rock Creek for Maryland.
Fighting Lennies 2.0.
Yeah. So on Saturday, starting at 11 a.m., they have Hudson Catholic playing Monsignor Farrell, which is a Staten Island school. Mm-hmm. Then at 2 p.m., we have Curtis on Staten Island playing St. Mary's Ricken of Maryland.
Virginia? Maryland? Are they Maryland?
It says Maryland on here.
Oh,
it's on the Rutgers site. Yeah.
Oh,
at 5 p.m., you have DePaul Catholic playing Archbishop Stepanak, which is in White Plains. And at 8 p.m., closing out, you have St. Joe's playing St. Anthony's on Long Island. Sunday.
Go on. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, St. Anthony's is good for New York, but they're going to get blown the hell out by St. Joe's.
Yeah.
St. Joe's is
monster.
It's a different level. Sorry.
Wrapping it up on Sunday, we have Cardinal Hayes from the Bronx playing Pope John at 11 a.m. We have Carnacy in Brooklyn playing Life Christian Academy in Virginia at 2 p.m. And then closing it out at 5 p.m. on Sunday, we have Lincoln from Brooklyn playing Bishop McNamara of Maryland. So tons of really high-level recruits going to be on campus all weekend. These events are huge because it's such a is such a strong recruiting tool for Rutgers without having to really do anything other than offer its facilities. Because these guys, they don't have to visit on their own dime. They go there with their team. They're going to be there. They get used to, seeing everything. It's kind of like a guided tour for themselves around the football facilities. So it really is just like such a huge deal to get these guys on campus playing games, even though it might not seem like it is.
Yeah, and I'm sure the staff's going to be paying attention Friday night. They're going to be paying attention, especially Friday night, because they're one of their commits is playing in Dalen Braithwaite. And then they'll obviously go to Philly Saturday, so they're going to miss a couple of those. But they'll be back Sunday, and then they'll watch those games as well, I'm sure. And you get firsthand views from your own stadium, and like you're right there. So I mean, you don't even have to leave the office technically. But ton of big names. Off the top of my head, just hearing those teams, I could tell you at least like 15 plus have Rutgers offers. So I mean, if not more, I'm probably undershooting that quite a bit. But this is huge for Rutgers, and they should do this every year, because this is not even the first event they did this year. This is the second event. They did the Rumble at the Raritan and now Battle at the Bridge. It's big for Rutgers just to get these guys on campus, like you said.
Yeah, no, I think they've kind of unlocked a really awesome event for all the area high schools, because it's a lot of PA schools, it's a lot of Virginia, Maryland, New York, New Jersey, so it's a lot of the top programs in the surrounding area are coming up for these type of events. So I guarantee, if nothing else, we'll see it expanded in the future. I do want to pivot to basketball recruiting, because we had one of the top recruits in the country for the class of 2024 on campus this past weekend. It's his second visit on his own dime in 3 months, because this wasn't an official.
It wasn't official.
It wasn't official. Okay,
yeah, it
sorry.
wasn't official.
Okay, so it was his official visit. His name is Arius Bailey, but he goes by Ace. He's from Georgia. He's the 7th ranked recruit in the class of 2024. Tell us a bit about. I think he's a 6'8" wing. Tell us a little bit about him and what you're hearing following up on his visit.
So basically, what I was told is, like, I know he's 7th right now, and I know Rutgers fans would be like, "Oh, well, I heard his ranking's going to change." I know people are going to be like, "Oh, he's running with the Rutgers now. His ranking's going to change." No, I'm hearing he's going to go like top 3.
Wow,
like he's that good. Like, he's phenomenal. He keeps moving up. He moved up 19 spots in our latest update, so he was in the 20s somewhere, 26 I think it was overall. But he moved up to 7, and it sounds like it's not done. I think he's going to keep moving up, and this is huge for Rutgers to get him on campus again. He took an unofficial back in June, early June, and now he's back again and for an official. At the moment, it doesn't sound like he has anything else like set up technically. He did visit Georgia Tech, which was a weird one. I know Auburn's making a heavy push as well. Obviously, with most of these SEC schools, in terms of hoops, you kind of got to watch, because they're a little tricky in terms of like off the court stuff. Hence Arkansas and Bayfall, but we're not.
$sign for the SEC.
Yeah, that's how you spell it now, pretty much. But I mean, it's interesting to get him back on campus. Davis is supposed to talk to him today. He also has an interview with his head coach as well, so that's going to be up shortly. It does sound like the visit went really, really well. There's not much else to it. It's just Rutgers is getting these top guys on campus. They're showing them a great time. And it sounds like they're really in the thick of it for most of these guys. And then imagine him and like Dylan Harper in the same class.
That would be insane. Do you know what the connection here is between Ace and the Rutgers staff? Because I mean, it might just be recruiting him well, but usually there's like, TJ Thompson knows his AU coach because they went to college together, that kind of stuff. So you know if there's a solid connection? Yeah,
I forget what it is exactly off the top of my head, and I'm going to remember, I know, as soon as we turn this off. But it's something to do with Brandon Knight and his family, I believe. Okay. I don't know what the exact connection is. I got to go back and look it up, because I had it written down, and I just can't remember for the life of me. But, it's something to do with Brandon Knight. And Brandon Knight's, he's earning his paycheck right now. I mean, everyone kind of criticized it a little bit, even I think I did a little bit, because it's like, $700K is a lot for a guy that like didn't land anyone significant. Then Gavin Griffiths gets committed, top 30 kid. Then Papa Conte is like seriously considering him, top 100 kid. Now you had the number 12 kid on campus last week. You have the number 7 kid on campus this week. Like, it's like, oh shit, all right, never mind. You get it. You earned it. I'll eat crow on that one. You win.
Yeah, and that's a natural progression here. So Papa Conte just returned back from Senegal, where he grew up and where his family is. He was rumored to be looking to make a commitment shortly after he got back. It sounds like that has been pushed back though, and he's going to take some more visits. Davis kind of posted an update on that, but tell us a little bit about where Papacante is at right now.
So he was going to decide in fall, but that's not going to happen anymore. It sounds like he's going to decide in almost winter time, like November, December type area. He wants to take visits to revisit all the schools he already went to, which is interesting to me because now you got to pay.
Is that going to include his family, like the official visits? You think?
I don't know if he'll include his family per se. He hasn't really said, but I know the Griffs are technically the ones taking him on all these visits or going with him on the official visits. So I would assume they would probably go with him again. The Griffs are his guardians, which is huge for Rutgers' sake. I know Steve Peichel's there today to watch him work out or whatever, the preseason practice, whatever.
And this is the second open practice in a row Rutgers has attended at South Kent too.
Yeah, I think T.J. Thompson was up there yesterday or the day before or whatever. But he does want to take an official visit to Memphis, which isn't too surprising because the Wren's director, New York Wren's AAU program director, and his head coach of the under-17 team is now hired by Memphis. Tricky move by Penny Hardaway, but I mean, good for him because it might work out for some guys. I don't know if it'll work out for Papacante or not, but it's going to be interesting because it sounds like he's going to visit Memphis. It sounds like he's going to visit Rutgers again. It sounds like Michigan's starting to fall behind a little bit, which is really, really good for the Scarlet Knights. But it's kind of just a wait and see. I mean, apparently he hasn't been home in some years. So now
like 3 years.
Yeah. So he went back home. He saw his parents for the first time. I mean, think about it, seeing your parents for the first time in 3 years, and you're 16, 17.
Yeah.
It's tough, and then you got to make a decision. Like it's not going to be imminent like we thought it would be, but now it sounds like he's going to take some visits, some revisits even, and then go from there.
So I do want to touch back on 2024 again because if you're looking at the top 50 recruits in the country for that class, there's so many with local ties. Like Ian Jackson, the number one recruit in the country, he goes to the Cardinal Hayes in the Bronx. Nasir Cunningham used to go to Paul Mulcahy's old school, and now he's transferred to Overtime Elite. He'll probably not go to college. Probably go straight to the G League, but. Yeah, Ace Bailey we're recruiting. Elliot Kudo used to be at Boston or Bergen Catholic. We have Boogie Fland is from Archbishop Stepanak in White Plains. We got Dylan Harper, obviously. Further down the list, we're recruiting Donnie Freeman, who's 24th in the country really heavily. There's another kid from Bergen Catholic, I think ranked 46, Terry Copeland. This is a really deep class for this area, and we're in it with some of these kids. Not all of them, obviously, but who out of that list that I just kind of went through, other than Dylan, are we most in with right now?
I'd probably say Dwayne Pierce is one that you got to keep a really close eye on. He's a New York guy.
He's 63rd in the class.
Yeah, he's pretty high on Rutgers. I know he visited for an official or unofficial June, July. I'm trying to find the list right now, but. Yeah, I mean, he's one I would keep a close eye on. Tyler Betsy's one I would kind of monitor. I don't think he's going to end up at Rutgers. He's unranked right now, but he has a bunch of different offers. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. There's someone else I'm missing, too. I'm trying to pull up the offer list real quick. But, I mean, Dylan would be the main target at the moment. And then Ace Bailey, getting him on campus is huge. Let's see, who else? Delquan Warren, Rutgers just went and saw yesterday. A Pennsylvania kid out of Erie, PA. I don't think he's ranked in the top 100, but I think he's 115, 116, something like that. Yeah. He's one to keep a close eye on. Who else is on this list? I know I might be pronouncing this one wrong too. Kin Pong out of Christ the King. He's not ranked right now. He's he's listed as a small forward. I don't know who put him there because he's 6'9". It's like a power forward, in my opinion. But his guardian mentioned Rutgers the other day, along with Michigan and Seton Hall and a couple other locals. But I mean, that's pretty much it for the most part. It seems like they're shooting for the stars with this one, and if they do land like a Dylan Harper, partner him with like a Delquan Warren, or I mean, Gavin Griffs will probably be on campus by then. Should say probably will be on campus by then. And then maybe you get lucky, and maybe like Tyler Betsy, a kid who's probably considering like the Blue Bloods, maybe reconsiders. He's like, hold on, I can go play with Dylan still and play with the same AAU team. And then hold on, wait, maybe they got Papa Conte too, and we could just run the New York Rens back and just run them in the college level and see what happens. So I mean, it's definitely interesting. I think Rutgers is doing really well right now with a lot of top level guys, and it's going to be intriguing to see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. That class of 24 could be the best class in Rutgers history when all is said and done if things break Rutgers' way. Do you see Dylan as like the Pied Piper of that class? Like if he comes, he probably brings 2 or 3 other super high-level guys with him?
I think originally when you asked me this question like a year ago or maybe 6 months ago, I probably said no, but now Dylan's exploding into like one of the top prospects in the country. He's a 5-star prospect now. So I'd probably say, yeah. I mean, I think there's a really good chance that he could be that guy. I don't know if he'll be the first one to do it necessarily, because I guess you can argue Gavin Griff's kind of started the trend. And then if he could somehow snag Papa Conte, then that's huge for 2023. And then we're already talking 2024, and we're nowhere near done with 2023.
That's true.
So 2024, I mean, Dylan could be that guy to start the things off. I don't know if he's going to be ready to commit early or not. I think he's going to try to at least wait until after his junior year, just to see like who else offers. I mean, he just got duped the other day, I believe. How serious is that? It's hard to tell, but Memphis is pushing him. Memphis was in to see Dylan yesterday, I think. Auburn's pushing. Indiana's always going to make that big push, even though it's kind of a weird one with the hatred between Ron and Indiana, but. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to say this confidently. I don't think there's a better time to be a Rutgers Hoops fan right now than, like, ever in the past since they made the Final Four, probably.
Yeah.
Recruiting is that high. Like, it's like that high right now. And Pikel might even, I shouldn't say might, he probably does have another NCAA team. And I don't know if you saw this morning, I don't know who the guy was, but I quote tweeted it from the Rutgers Rivals account. He's like, he listed all the programs in every conference and where he kind of ranks them all, and he's like Rutgers and Purdue, national title contenders, and I'm like, I don't know if I go that far, but I mean, that's kind of a little out there, but
that's wild.
I do think they have a very, very good team, and I think they're going to be. I'm an idiot, by the way. I'm just going to take that back. Ignore everything I just said for the last 10 seconds. I just realized that wasn't hoops. That was women's soccer. So
got it. Yep.
Yeah. No, I was going to say there's no way, but. I do think they make the tournament again. I think they're a very good team. I think Cam Spencer's really good. And I know Pikel's not a big advocate of the portal, but he's used it pretty well so far. I mean, Hyatt, you kind of could be the bust of the group in terms of transfers, but he's still a starter. He's still producing a little bit. I think Cam Spencer might be your leading scorer. I don't want to dive too deep into hoops, but like I said before, there's no better time to be a Rutgers Hoops fan than right now.
Absolutely. We'll have a ton of more basketball coverage as the season kind of creeps closer and closer, but Rutgers seems like it has a really good team. John Rothstein was there last week, and he did his typical like puff. I mean, he puffs up everybody, so it's not like he's just doing it for Rutgers, but it sounds like he liked what he saw. And the one thing I thought was interesting is what he said about Derek Simpson, where he said that Rutgers hasn't had a guy like with his like physical abilities ever, or maybe recently, but you have Corey Sanders, obviously, who is one of the more freaky athletes I've ever seen in a Rutgers basketball uniform.
Jacob Young
sounds
was
like
pretty good too.
Jacob Young was extremely fast, so I think sounds like Derek Simpson's got some potential, and he's shown some things in terms of these practices that people like. So
yeah, most definitely.
All right, so we kind of covered a lot of ground here. Richie, is there anything that I missed? Anything you wanted to hit on before we sign off?
There is one thing.
Okay.
Nebraska obviously fired Scott Frost. They have a couple Jersey guys on the roster. It's not crazy to take a little peek and see what might be going on portal-wise. I know it's a little early because none of them have entered the portal, but you got to start speculating a little bit. I might be pronouncing this wrong. Makai Gabor, Irvington guy. Redshirted 2021. I don't think he's played yet in 2022. Obviously, it's only 2 games in, but I think he was pretty highly ranked. He was like a high 3-star for Rivals. You need linebacker help. It's not the craziest thing right there. Do you revisit like a Jaden Gould type situation? He's out there in Nebraska. Ramir Johnson, running back. I think he was their starter last year, but I think he lost the job this year. Probably don't need a running back, but it's something to monitor. It's a Bergen Catholic guy. And then the most intriguing one of them all that wasn't mentioned in the transfer portal article that we posted, or I posted on the boards, Rutgers doesn't have a 2023 quarterback. William Watson, Connecticut native, I think he's playing up in Massachusetts right now, is a Nebraska commit. He's the number 6 dual threat in the country. He's a little on the smaller side. I think he's around 6 foot. He's listed 6 foot. He's probably smaller than that. But when I saw him at the Rivals camp this year at Pennsylvania, and he looked pretty damn good, pretty accurate. I don't think it's crazy or out of this realm that you might reach out if you're Rutgers. Now, Rutgers hasn't offered technically, but they did host him on a visit last year. I think they hosted him again before he committed. I don't remember when he committed. I think January. He probably February committed. I think January they might have hosted him, but I could be wrong on that one too. But he's something to monitor because you haven't really had much luck with 2023 recruiting. Now, would he even be entertained the idea? Maybe, maybe not, because there's probably a couple schools that probably have reached out to him already. Plus, if you're like going to tote the fact that you have 2 freshman quarterbacks and those are the future, it's going to be hard for you to convince another guy to come in and compete. But it is something to monitor. I think William Watson's an intriguing one. If I'm Rutgers, I'd put a feeler out there or two and see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be a lot of there could potentially be a lot of dissent going on there very shortly because they play Oklahoma this weekend. They're already 1-2. If they get their doors blown up by Oklahoma, they're 1-3. No coach, bunch of guys. They were one of those teams that really hit the transfer portal hard this offseason. So I could see a lot of guys just entering the portal, preserving their year of eligibility, and kind of moving on to the next one. So we'll see. It's a very interesting situation to monitor given how soon we play them. For sure.
True.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in once again to another edition of the Night Report podcast. We are signing off.